Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the WCS America. Yeehaw. Okay, that guy's crazy. Welcome to WCS America. Yes, this is the part where we transition and pretend we're actually in Los Angeles, except we're not. But it doesn't matter, because guess what? You get your Los Angeles studio next season. That's right, we're going to be coming live from Los Angeles for WCS Season 2 for America, and Season 3, of course. And back in Europe for Cologne once more, so you're about to come down and cheer on your favourite players in WCS Europe. Attention now turns to WCS America. Yesterday, two very surprising results in our quarterfinal. We'll now carry on today with our quarterfinal before moving on to the semi-finals in both WCS Europe and WCS America on Saturday. On Sunday, we will crown champions in both WCS Europe and WCS America. It's a double-header weekend of StarCraft 2. It doesn't actually get much better than this. Right then, it's time almost. It's okay. Security will throw him out afterwards. I'm joking. We don't do that here. What we do though is say hi to Roddy.
Yeah, it's about time, Paul.
Looking so dapper, Kev. So dapper, so classy. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. I enjoyed the game so far, and yesterday WCS America was fun. Yesterday WCS America was full of surprises. I'd be today if those surprises happen, if the trend of yesterday would continue. And yesterday we had surprises, and today I think we can talk about major upsets.
Really?
Yes.
You think there's some upsets on the cards? Okay. Before we get into our first match, let's take a look at the brackets so we can update you from yesterday's matches as well. Of course, the surprises that Roddy and I were already talking about. Bomber losing to Alicia, and Alicia looked really good in that game. And then Hyun coming through in a 3-2 match against Tasia, which frankly none of us expected. We were expecting Tasia to do so well and dominate, and it almost looked like the bracket was his. And you look at it and you think, he's going to go play a TVT with Bomber, he's potentially got that, and then he's in the final. Some reason WCS America is cursed for this man.
Yeah, it just doesn't really come together for Tasia, which is weird, because we all know that he's easily good enough to win the whole thing, but somehow he hasn't got there yet. He got close once upon a time, and now we said, like, 2014, Tasia took some time off. Sometimes you worry about that for people, but in general, when it comes to Tasia's wrist, and you say, like, he feels better now, then you're not worried about him taking time off. You're like, Tasia's going to go turn on beast mode and most likely steamroll this tournament, but again, it wasn't Tasia's time.
It's almost like every time you're right, you sort of write him off, and then suddenly he wins a tournament, and then when you're building him back up, he's nowhere to be seen again.
We have to rewrite that Bomber's Law, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's Tasia's Law. I think that's what it might be, or Commentator's Curse. We are going to talk about our third quarterfinal in WCS America. As we said, we already found two of our semi-finalists. But before we get into that, let's about to perform a team kill. Polt, multiple winner last year, of course. Probably only behind Tasia in terms of the amount of tournaments he won last year.
He's crazy overstimmed. His Marines are half health. If one Baneling detonates, pretty much all these Marines are dead. But it doesn't. It hits the Hellions.
Wow.
And Polt, he just has too much.
Oh my. Wow. GG.
The majority of those Banelings are cleaned up. There's just 2 remaining on the map. And once those are gone, this is more than enough Marines to kill everything else that's left on the map. So many medevacs to heal them. Shigua's pushback. This is his only fresh base left that's really mining with tons of resources. And he can focus it down. He can kill the Mutalists. He can kill whatever he wants because he's won this game. GG.
Goes in, does the business, gets out. Very, very clean. Very, very methodical there from Polt.
He had the best year of his career in 2013.
He looked quite invincible. Remember in Shanghai, he
scary.
destroyed us in the finals. That was ridiculous. For Colossi, and I think he's going to engage into this.
Nice force fields again to catch up a lot of these roaches, but still the Corruptors with corruption catch a lot of these Colossi. Going to bring those down one by one.
This is actually very, very hard to deal with. Very, very hard.
There you go. GG Revival.
If he can kill all these Marines, and that's it. He can just push his way up the natural ramp. Neva has played a phenomenal WCS match so far. He's played fantastic in his games, but I think Revival has done it. GG.
So then we have it, the two players in currently smiley mood right now, but I don't know if it's going to end that way. These two are going to go head-to-head in what has to be a team kill. It's always harsh when this happens in a tournament. You kind of feel for players when they get drawn against their teammates, but nothing they can do about it right now. Let's start with Polt. there's not a huge amount we need to say about this man. We know how good he is. His results speak for himself, but just to make it even clearer to those of you at home who aren't familiar with Polt, he is #1 ranked in the world right now, TVZ. He goes against a Zerg who is in his own team, who he has a 7-1 record against in 8 matches. And he's also the double defending WCS America champion. I'm not sure that Mounted could be stacked any higher for Revival if we wanted it to be.
I think it's safe to say that Polt might be the favorite for this one. I mean, we can beat around the bush, and it's still going to be an amazing StarCraft 2 match, and Revival definitely has what it takes to perhaps maybe make something happen, but us saying anything other than Polt being a massive favorite in this quarterfinal would be rubbish.
Yeah,
he comes in as an overwhelming favorite.
Yeah, I mean, any sane person in Fantasy League right now is putting this down as a 3-0, but take nothing away from Revival. He had a pretty good 2013.
The best he ever had.
Absolutely. First in IEM Shanghai. He had that incredible week, didn't he, where he WCS America and IEM Shanghai within a week of each other, having never done anything before, really, of any great note, and yet suddenly in the space of a week had become this huge name all of a sudden. It wasn't like it became overnight, but suddenly people were like, Revival's he's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I like that you bring that up, and Revival's story even goes back much further than that. It's very similar to Hyun's. I've spoke about this in the past in WCS America, but I know we have a lot of new people watching right now. The story of those two Zergs is so cool. Once upon a time, they were in TSL. So was Polt, by the way. What a dream team that was, if you go back at it. But, you know, they started grinding those small online tournaments. He made kind of a risky decision when he decided to leave TSL before the team was officially disbanded. But in the end, you know, it worked out for him. It was definitely a long grind. He had to go through many small costs, but he finally got a little more exposure. The moment that EG picked him up, things really went good for him. And as you said, he had that one dream week. 2013, Season 1, he was the runner-up of WCS America. Well, if he's able to do that again this weekend, that means that he will overcome Polt. That would be fantastic.
Okay, we're looking for small chinks in the armour of Polt to try and help Revival fans maybe have a little bit of a hope in this one. Now, I think I've found one.
Oh.
Round of 32, Revival lost to Hyun. Now, hold on, you think, hang on, Red Eye, he lost. Round of 16, he lost to Alicia. Those are the two players in this semi-final already. They're the only two players he's lost in WCS America this year. And both of them were 2-1, and both of them were very close matches. He's got a chance. It's a slim chance, but he's got a chance.
I agree. He played fantastic against Jokji in IM Katowice, even though he did lose that series because of those legendary Widow Mines. But Revival, as you said, just a really solid 2013. Started off amazing. Season 2 was already a little less good. He went out in the round of 16 back then. And in Season 3, he lost in the round of 32, which was very surprising. And in the end, that costed him BlizzCon. I am sure that he said, like, okay, you know, I messed up. I should have been at BlizzCon. I had everything in my own hands. He went back to practice. Cooler Master picked him up. That must have been a huge motivation for him as well. He's like, EG let me go. I think I was doing pretty good. Well, Cooler Master said like, hey, we saw what you did. We still believe in you. And that must feel good. Revival is no pushover by no means, but it's Polt, man. It's like, what are you going to do?
It's a good way to end the segment. Thank you very much, Rotterdam. Polt, what can you do? Well, Revival's got to do an awful lot, that's for sure. He's got to bring a AAA game of epic proportions if he wants to take down one of the top players in the world right now. Let's find out whether he can do it with our commentary team for WCS America. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, Paul. And welcome to the commentary desk. Get another shot of the crowd before we come back over here. I am Nathanius. With me is Liquid's Rhett. And this Terran versus Zerg, we were talking about this just a few moments ago. We are beyond hyped for this match.
Yeah, this is once again, seems like so many TVZs already, but this is going to be another sick one. And Polt, he's got to look like one of the best Terran players in the world right now, if not the best. And Revival, of course, like the guys pointed out already, has had such a good 2013, and it seems like he as well just keeps getting better and better, so I can't wait for this.
Yeah, I mean, Red Eye said it. Polt, #1 statistically as far as his Terran versus Zerg goes. We kind of knew him from WCS in 2013. He picked up 2 championships, lots of Terran versus Zerg, and every time we saw Polt, he brought something new to the table. He finds one build he really likes, and he really sticks to it. So Revival, even looking at the map veto process, I feel like it's going to be very interesting to see how our potential underdog tries to set the stage for this upcoming best of 5.
Yeah, and of course, another interesting dynamic between these two is that they are actually on the same team. Although they do not live together, I'm assuming that they know pretty much all each other's secrets and they tell each other everything. And now they will have to face off. And sometimes team games create weird games where there's so many mind games that it's really hard for just the average viewer or even the commentators to really know what's going on in their heads and how they are playing each other's minds by showing that they already know each other so well. And we'll have to see if Revival or Polt will bring anything especially tailored to each other to the table.
Man, how do you mind game Polt? It's funny to bring up the teams now, but of course they mentioned they were on TSL together as well before. And these two players, what kind of mind games do you think you can even bring into Terran versus Zerg?
Well, yesterday we saw Jan do funky stuff with the gases on his third base and then not go mutas, which I never saw that before. It was really cool. Something you can do is show like double evolution chambers and then go for some kind of massive bust. Or there's actually in TVZ there probably isn't that many things you can do, as for example in ZVP or TVP. It usually comes down to who has the best mechanics and who can outplay each other, which is kind of cool. But there are some little things you can do. Looks like the first map will be Habitation Station, which Revival picked, which I think is interesting for him to go for that, like over like Frost, which we've seen for the most part. And Polt going with Heavy Rain.
I think Habitation Station, if you want to be aggressive versus a Terran, it's not a bad map. I'd say Polt, maybe one of the least likely Terrans competing in this WCS. 2 racks on that map, as popular as the strategy's been. Heavy Rain being a pick from Polt, I can't disagree. I think it's a great map for Terran versus Zerg, especially the Reaper openings he's been using. And the rest of the maps, pretty standard, except we haven't seen Polt vetoing Alterzim Stronghold.
No.
And I'm interested to see what happens if we actually get to that 5th game on a map that could potentially bring a very long series.
Yeah, he seems to like it better than Frost, and he's pretty much one of the only Terrans to prefer it. So he might have something very special planned if it does go to the 5th game. But overall, pretty solid maps. Different starts than usual, which is kind of cool to see. Usually it was always like Frost and then Yonsu or Heavy Rain, but Habitation Station being the first one. What do you think about that map?
I think Habitation Station, like I said, it's a map we've seen a lot of 2 racks is on. And of course our crowd very hyped up. These guys have been here for a very long time. These have been some long days of games. And Polt, this is the epitome of Terran versus Zerg. He pretty much comes in, he's like, oh, big tournament, let me just write a thesis on whatever matchup everybody's having difficulty with, and everyone else just follow my lead for a little while. Great Terran versus Zerg player. I don't really know that this map is something that you would have to fear Polt on, because he's, like I said, just not very likely to cheese.
Yeah, I think his stats spoke for themselves. They were absolutely amazing. Only 3 losses against Zerg so far. Revival, on the other hand, the last time we saw him play ZVT was against Jakji at Katowice, which was probably the most epic series we saw that whole tournament. Yeah. And I am guessing that Revival probably worked on his Widow Mine micro, because if you remember, he lost about 30 mutas, I think, or so.
Something like that.
Something crazy to 2 Widow Mines and just barely lost that series. But he did showcase some amazing, very standard Mutaling Baneling play. So that's kind of what I'm expecting from him in this series as well.
Yeah, when I look at Revival, one of the other series that comes to mind is his series against Neeb, of course, previous to this matchup. And he did show a little bit of weakness in that matchup. He did drop a game to him on that same map he lost, I guess, to Jachi on Daedalus point. And Polt, he had absolutely no difficulty whatsoever taking out Shigua. And it was funny that I actually mentioned the fact that he left Alterzim Stronghold open, but he won the match before it even reached that point. He took a very decisive, very quick 2-0. And I feel like the pressure is on Revival to try to get the momentum, kind of like how we talked about with Tasia against Yan.
Yeah, Polt has had an absolutely amazing start of the year, performing pretty much everywhere. He's got everything sorted out now in his life as well. He's living in the US now. He's got a visa. He's done with school. He's living there together with Violet, another great Zerg. So I'm sure his practice is absolutely amazing for this.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to find out if it's enough, or if Revival's got everything in order for this match, as we are just about loaded in and ready to start this game. It's our first match night for WCS America, a Terran versus Zerg. 2 Koreans, 2 teammates fighting to make it to the semifinals. Our first player spawning in the top left of Habitation Station from Cooler Master Storm, it is Polt. 2-time WCS America champion. A lot of fans in this crowd. It's hard not to be a fan of Polt. But his teammate in the Northeast, also Cooler Master Storm, the Blue Zerg, he has a mountain to climb. It is Revival.
Indeed. One of the better performing Zergs over the last year. And so far, he has gone for the 10 Overlord. Do you know why Korean Zergs sometimes go for 10 Overlord gas trick, as opposed to the Europeans always going 9 Overlord?
I have absolutely no idea.
No. I should ask them one of these days, because I've been wondering this ever since Nesty started doing it about 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and it just didn't add up.
Yeah, it always, if you ever tried to do the math on it, that it was even either way. There was never really an advantage because of either the delayed drone or the faster 11th drone. But I think for this map, and I think it's kind of interesting that we're starting on this map also because Polt doesn't really play to maps too much. He's still going to Open Reaper. We've seen, I think, almost every Terran that's played versus a Zerg on this map, MMA and Jauchi. Neither of them opened Reaper. Yep. We saw MMA with the fake out low racks, and then Jauchi, of course, with his absolutely crazy build of, was it 4 something racks?
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the worst maps for Reapers because you only really have 2 entry points into the natural on the side, which is a very small area. You're not likely to sneak in and get a bunch of drone kills once you get 2 Reapers, but the Reaper does give you as well great creep control into the mid game, which it's still very, very useful. It doesn't really have to do damage. And from Polt, I'm not surprised to see this build because he's probably one of the most standard players in the world. And Revival knows this. He didn't even drone scout or anything. So looks like these guys are going straight into the macro mode for this game. And so far, no gas from Revival being taken.
Man, I think that's definitely one of the big things to look at in this game is when does Revival take his gas and how many does he take and what does he do with it? Because Polt, as you said, he's one of the most standard possible Terran players that we could see. I do not expect Polt to really deviate from how he's played so far in the WCS America. He's been using this very fast 3 barracks play with his factory to get a very fast bio timing out. He was able to kill Shigua with it straight up almost 2 games in a row. And if you're Polt, you are the kind of player that if you like a build, you do it every single game without fail. Unless you feel for some drastic reason that it needs to be different. But at the very least, he can get in with this Reaper and see, okay, well, there's no gas, nothing to worry about.
Yeah, he got the information he needed. Revival so far doing a good job. Has to be careful with that one drone. Will lose a Zergling as well, which is pretty okay for Polt to start with. And he has started his command center and his factory. But actually, he's getting a 3rd Reaper, like we see pretty common nowadays, and with that he'll be able to put on a lot of pressure on Revival because of his later gas and his later link speed. How is he going to take a 3rd base?
Yeah, it'll be tough, and we see that that question almost being answered now as the gas is taken by Revival 2 in his main base. And I feel like this gas timing is still early enough that if he really wanted to, he could try to be aggressive. I don't think it's too crazy to assume that Polt would go for a fast 3rd command center, even though his Overlord has yet to see it. But now Polt, factory coming close to completing. I wonder if we'll see those additional barracks from him as he continues to poke with these Reapers, just trying to be as annoying as humanly possible.
Showing some good micro there, although it is very hard up that ramp as well. And these Lings just doing a good job making sure that nothing gets in. And another gas for Revival, so that's 3 gas before a 3rd base. This is something you don't normally see. And I'm not sure right now what this might lead to, but there's the lair. So this could be fast mutas or it has to be fast mutas. It could be some kind of roach war and cheese, but I don't think that's too common. And like you pointed out, there's the extra 2 barracks from Polt. And why don't you explain why this build is so special?
Yeah, I absolutely loved seeing this build when he pulled it off against Shigua in the round of 16. Basically, as you see how that roach war coming in, as you mentioned, the potential for a fast attack, Polt's production is going to be up so much faster than any other normal Terran versus Zerg build, where you would commonly get maybe your engineering base first, or you'd wait until your Hellions are up before you add it on barracks. That with the fast reactors he's been building, he gets up so many more Marines than you would normally have that not only can he aggressively push you if you're greedy, but in the instance of a roach attack that could come like this, he has the capability to fill a lot of bunkers defensively.
Yeah, and a lot of Overlords just finished for Revival as he gets his carapace, and 4 roaches on the way while his lair finishes as well. And I'm going to imagine that we're going to see roach speed from this. And his 3rd base is so late that this is almost going to have to be some kind of 2-base heavy attack.
This is the same exact attack, actually. The +1 carapace and the roach speed that he pulled against Neep. I believe it was on this map as well. So Revival seems to have a map build order set up here. And the question is, I actually wonder if Polt watched those games now. How prepared is he for this? I feel like his production is more than well enough ahead. See, he already has the 2 reactors done, and if you're Polt, you're not going to get supply blocked early on. The question is, how quickly can he react and respond to this? Because the way that Revival did this last time, it was take the gold as the 3rd base, and then only basically just build roaches until you're maxed out.
Yeah, and with that gold base explosion, he's going to have so much mineral income, and with only the 1 evolution chamber, he doesn't even spend that much gas on upgrades. So he's going to have an absolutely insane number of roaches into the mid game. But like you said, the production is already going for Polt. He's got 4 Marines and a Marauder on the way. He still kept his Hellions alive, and his Medivacs will soon follow. So I'm not sure that this will do that much damage for Revival against this build.
Yeah, you know, we were talking about this build order before, before we even came on to commentate this game. I was kind of asking you what you think the weakness of this build is, and we kind of agreed that Polt's upgrades, maybe they're not as fast as you'd normally get them, but in a situation like this, where you have a composition from Revival that's not very late game oriented, the advantage he gets in production while still having this medevac tech out at an early time, even keeping these Hellions alive, he's killing roaches with Reapers and Hellions. Polt is still going to be able to get an advantage in this game, regardless of where he makes cuts to get these units out.
And now Revival actually shows all the roaches that he does have. The carapace is almost done, but this is not really an all-in because he's getting a lot of drones, and it looks like he doesn't want to go for the 2-base saturation, like you said, the 3-base saturation. He will chase off these Hellions, and Polt saw the roaches. He's getting a few bunkers, but his 3rd base is already up, and some roaches are heading over there just to find 2 SCVs that they could kill and back off once again. At the same time, Polt does sneak in a Reaper and a Hellion to see what exactly might be going on in there, but he has to pull back his main forces.
Yeah, I feel like it's important for Polt to see what the follow-up is, because Revival just wants to push him off of this 3rd base. He wants to contain Polt, hold him to 2 bases as long as he can, but Polt's built bunkers on the low ground, not necessarily very common, but still doesn't seem to be enough to push this back, and he actually has SCVs on here. Will he be able to hold this? This is the most important part of Revival's attack. When he used this against Need, he was able to lock him in and contain him, prevent him from getting enough economy to overcome that gold base. Revival with 20 roaches on the production tab has broken this low ground position. He will be able to force a liftoff on that 3rd base, and now Polt finds himself in very similar shoes to his Terran comrade Neeb. He needs to find a way to hold on the aggression, but also get that 3rd base.
Yeah, and actually I'm really surprised that those roaches did so well with the carapace and the armor they already have. They just last really well against Marines, even with the medevacs. And now with the gold base being up, there's just so much production for Revival, and he's so much supply. And once again, he pushes in, but Polt doesn't really have that much. I'm really scared for him if he's going to stay here on the low ground. He does have 4 medevacs, and now even more 6. That's going to really help, and really nice lifting up the depots there.
Yeah, it's still so scary, though. The 3rd base, he tries to mine from it again. More SCVs getting chewed apart here. 13 killed so far without really, it feels like you shouldn't be able to get this much done. Somehow that Reaper and Hellion were still in there. But the 3rd base is lifted again. Polt has no bunkers on the high ground. He's looking to hold a pure roach assault with just a handful of Marines and Marauders. Revival may have Polt's number, even with how much production he had. I feel like Polt taking those fights in the low ground, just exposed himself so much, and the roaches come in, killing almost all of the SCVs. The Marines are streaming down this ramp, desperately trying to hold this off, and Polt's not dead just yet. He's somehow not been finished off by this push, but he has been knocked below 80 supply just now. 34 SCVs killed, Red.
Yeah, that is so many workers down, and he held it off because of the medevacs with the staying power he has. But now Revival, his creep strat, look at the map. Even though he was doing this attack, he's doing an amazing job spreading creep. He's still on 55 drones. His income is really high because of the gold base. It's like a normal 3-base saturation. And what's Polt going to do?
Well, we can see he's trying to move out while retaking that 3rd base at the same time. And a very smart, you can see the way he pulls back to these Widow Mines from his first-person perspective as Revival comes up again. But now he has an Overseer. He can clean up these Widow Mines. Polt does not, he doesn't have any more free damage to deal to this Zerg army. And he's coming down to fight once again, taking some trades that are maybe not so favorable. His 2-2 is on the way. It's the only thing he has going for him, because Revival has +2 Carapace. Those roaches have 1 armor built in. If you have an upgrade advantage of Carapace against a Terran, it feels really weird, but those roaches are surprisingly difficult to kill.
Yeah, and behind this, Revival is going for the Hydra range. Once again, he is pushing in. Polt, once again, trying to take his turret, but there's so many roaches. There's also a lot of medevacs. It's really hard to call this fight, but it looks like the Marines will get taken down, and once again, Revival pushes up the natural base with all the roaches that he does have.
Yeah, this might not be one of those situations where we've seen Polt time and time again come back from behind. Revival is in the natural once more. There's a lot of medevacs, but the energy's so low. SCVs being pulled to fight once more against Revival's Roaches, and he's just continuing to stream them across 10 more in production. As you said, the Hydralisks coming in tow as well as the follow-up. Polt can't handle it. GG. Revival takes the first game in our best of 5, and what an interesting way to see a build that Revival has used twice in WCS America go up against two very different players with different styles, and even being able to take out Polt. A very good first map pick for this series.
Yeah, I guess that's why he picked Habitation Station. We should have known about that, but that was an incredible build. I've missed that game against Neeb, so I didn't see that, but that worked so well. I thought that Polt would have more than enough Marines to deal with that, but with the armor on the Roaches and there's the production from the gold base, he was able to just dominate Polt, and we spent all this time hyping up Polt, and Revival just comes in, makes pure Roach, and just takes the first map away from him. What a great start of the series for Revival.
I really feel like when you're playing against Roaches like that, and you know that your opponent has done something like this before, Polt was very insistent on continuing to drop mules in the third base, pushing SCVs there, and taking fights on the low ground. He almost was able to stop the first push. Imagine if he just sits up in his main base, makes 2 bunkers, and says, look, Mass Roach falls off very hard once I get, close to 140, 160 supply of bio. He doesn't have any Banelings. Once you have enough Marines and Marauders to kill it, that's it. The Roach is a very short range, so Polt maybe a bit overeager trying to take that third.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he should have definitely defended a little bit more. But luckily for him, we are going to heavy rain, and there are no gold bases on this map, so it's a lot less likely for a build like that to work in the same fashion for him. And important now for Polt to focus on his next game and, go back to his basic strengths and not lose confidence just because he lost that badly. He kind of just got steamrolled there. But I think in this next game, we're just going to see him stick to his guns and once again go for that fast double medevac. I really do love the build still. I guess
it's Polt. He's going to do the same thing again. I have no doubt about it. And this map is so good for those Reaper openings. He has more potential to do damage. He has more potential to, with his follow-up, as you said, there being no gold base, start to push a bit more in that earlier mid-game stage. But we're loading into heavy rain. We're going to have to see if Polt can even things up. Is Revival, the underdog in this match, going to be able to take a even bigger lead is the question. But we're time. It's here to find out. In the top position, we have the red Terran player from Cooler Master Storm down 0-1 in this best of 5, the WCS America. It is the Terran Polt. A man normally known for not only being a funny guy, but having nerves of steel, needs to overcome this blue Zerg player in the bottom, also from Cooler Master Storm. It is Revival. +1 Carapace, Roach attack with speed. Red, how often do you see a build like that?
Well, next time I play that map on the ladder, I'm definitely trying that one out for sure. Because it seems really good. Really nice when you get surprised like that, even though you've played the games for like 4 or 5 years. You see new things like that still popping up today.
That looks scary. I don't want to play versus that.
We should play a game as soon as we're done with this cast. See how it goes.
Don't think the +1 would be the reason I lose. But Polt, Barracks up front. I'm looking to see that gas from him again. We kind of talked about this. Heavy rain, there's so much space to jump up with a Reaper in the early game. No Terran player, I think, has vetoed this map. Maybe against a Protoss, you would want to veto it, but I don't see any reason for Polt to deviate from his normal strategy because it was, as you said, a very unusual build that caught us really almost all by surprise.
Yeah, and once again, Revival going for the 15 hatch. No drone scout, so it seems like he's definitely banking on not being cheesed by Polt in these first 2 maps. And this is definitely a map great for Reapers, like you said, but also the double medevac. It's already really hard to defend the 11-minute double medevac, but Polt gets the medevacs at like 9:30, even faster. So he'll be able to start dropping that much faster, and this is the perfect map for drops there. You can always escape to the low ground from the main base, and you can always escape to the 4th base from the natural with the medevac, so it's just really great for spreading out Zerg.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Even the Reapers, we kind of joked about this in the last Terran series we cast yesterday with just being able to move in that middle ground area, even if Revival, with this fast gas he's taken, a bit of a change-up compared to the last map. Well, it's pretty easy to dodge those Zerglings with all the cliffs in the center, but the Overlord for Revival will come in, and he's going to see, I think, nothing surprising whatsoever.
Exactly what he expected and why he took that fast gas. He wants to get rid of those Reapers as soon as he can and look to take more expansions for himself, most likely. But so far, the first Reaper is heading down to the Zerg base, and now it gets really intense. This is like such a hard stage as a Zerg. You know the Reaper is coming, and you know how you have to micro, but doing it in a game on this stage with this much at stake can still be really hard.
Yeah, it's always funny when you look at it from the Terran perspective of you want to try to deal damage, and it can be hard sometimes, but the subtle things when that Zerg player has to move around so much to defend can really be what makes this tricky. And the Lings are here, and he was able to pick off a few of them in the last game. He's doing a reasonable job so far. The goal, of course, is to just stall for that Queen to come out, which can help hold off the first Reaper without any trouble. Then once you get up to 2, you get to 3 Reapers. The third Reaper is already in the production tab. That's when it becomes even more difficult. We've seen more than enough, I think. Even in, I believe it was MMA's game earlier, was able to kill a Queen with the Reapers.
Yeah, he killed a Queen with the 3 Reapers against Snoot, that's right. And there's a third Reaper almost done now, so Revival will have to show some better micro than he has previously. So far, he's done very well. He's only lost a Zergling. The 2 Reapers will patrol here outside the base, and there are no Lings out on the map. So Polt doesn't really have to fear for too much. We'll poke in once again, probably. Actually, he's going to try to sneak around, but the Queen has seen it, so just getting a little bit of damage done here.
I love this position on this map because those Zerglings, there's no way they'll ever hit the Reapers because there's just such a large space without creep on that high ground. If you chase, he just kills the Zerglings, and then the Queen can't go out that far. And then if the Zerglings push back, then suddenly he starts to pick off a lot more of these. And since Zergling speed's about to complete, he really can't afford to lose these Zerglings.
Yeah, he's lost about 5 Zerglings already, and that speed will be pretty useless. Although 10 Lings are more on the way, this Queen is getting super low, dies. So once again on this map, we see a Queen die. And now the 10 Lings are coming, but the Reapers are already going back. So I don't think Polt, if he's careful, he's not going to lose anything. And he gets a Queen, but not only that, so many Lings and so many Lings that could have been drones. So this is a really, really good start for Polt.
Yeah, and back home, Polt is just doing what Polt does. Not surprised that all this is so far the same exact setup that we saw in game number 1. In both of his games versus Shigua in the round of 16, and that is this very fast 2 racks follow-up. The third base is now being taken by Revival, and once again, we see a Roach Warren coming out. No fast lair, though, this time.
Now, this looks a little bit more normal. He wants to probably just get some Roaches to defend against the Hellion Reaper, because Hellions and Reapers are so effective against Zerglings. You either need a lot of Queens or you need a couple of Roaches. And it seems like Revival prefers the Roach Warren. Here Polt goes with his Reaper, just trying to get another look in Revival's base, make sure he's not being cheap, but there are Speedlings there. So Polt, be careful. Okay, he does save the Reaper.
Yeah, manages to keep that alive, and he's starting to cruise around that map. Overlord going for a scout, and Revival is going to see what I think he expected to see. And upon seeing those 3 barracks, he knows 100% that it's the same Polt build from before, immediately puts that Baneling nest in. A big weakness of Shigua in terms of trying to hold this build in his games was the Banelings are just a little bit too late. When this attack comes faster, you need to have your counter set up faster. And this third base is actually taking a surprising amount of damage.
But this actually looks like it could have been a Roach Bane attack, because there's Roaches and there's a Baneling nest, and there were only 2 base saturation. But now, Polt with the money scan sees all the buildings, immediately starts 3 bunkers, but look at Revival. He seems to be going back to drones because he saw he got scanned. So these bunkers are going to be for nothing, and this is a big win for Revival in this build.
Yeah, you know, I have to imagine as a Zerg player, especially from, perspective like yours, when you see a Terran player get that scan off as you're potentially preparing to go for a big attack like this, how do you decide, when do I attack? Is it worth it to try? Is it too late? And I feel like with Polt being able to keep all his units active out on the map, it'd still be very difficult to make anything happen.
I feel like it was actually kind of a good scan for Revival because he hadn't made a ton of units yet, so now he can transition pretty nicely into the mid game, and those extra units will help against that Medevac Marine attack that's coming very soon. The Stim is already done, and the Medevacs are halfway done. The Roaches actually will try to catch a Hellion here, managed to kill one of them, and yeah, the lair halfway done, and these Medevacs are going to cause havoc in Revival's base very, very, very soon.
Yeah, 1-1 starting up for both players. Kind of interesting. These are not necessarily the fastest upgrade builds possible, but they almost neutralize each other in that regard. as these Hellions Reapers are still continuing to poke, and he's actually try to catch one of these roaches out in the field. Always feels funny to see them die to the Hellion Reaper. They don't do a lot of damage, but the range advantage makes it so weird. So picks off an Overlord as well. Those Medivacs, as you stated, are out. Combat Shield is beginning. Baneling speed and Roach speed. Might we see some more Roaches in the mid game here from Revival?
Yeah, and here Polt goes with that signature Terran move. The Hellions on one side, although he has to not lose them, and then the Medivacs come in from another angle. But these Roaches are doing a great job against these Hellions, kind of taking a sting out of that attack. But the Marine Marauder are here, and they're only Zerglings, no Banelings so far.
Yeah, he has a few on the way back, but you know, he's still chewing up a reasonable amount of these Marines. Not that combat shield, those stims put them quite low, and the Roaches are going to take some of this damage. Now the Banelings are ready, but Polt's off creep. He has the option to run away. And one important thing to note is that there is no Spire on the map, which means that Polt has full freedom to just get up in these Medivacs whenever he pleases.
Yeah, and I feel like this is going to be a really big Roach Bane attack from Revival. Polt doing a good job here, microing against these Roaches with the Marauders, taking them down very efficiently, one by one. And Revival actually has to back away from this fight. These two Marauders are going to clean up. But behind this, Revival's getting nothing but units and Overlords. 6 more Roaches on the way, Lings on the way. The Roach speed, the Baneling speed will finish up beautifully. And this is going to be a huge attack from Revival. And do you think Polt's going to be ready for this?
I think Polt smells something fishy. He's had this tech lab on this factory back home for a little while. He's starting up a second one, but he's moving straight into siege tanks. This isn't going to be fast Thor or anything like we saw before. And with that, I mean, just one siege tank for how widespread this area is, especially where Revival has chosen to attack from. He shouldn't have too clumped of a Zerg army, I don't think. So I don't know if one tank is enough. Has he started any bunkers? No, this could actually be, this could work.
21 Roaches, 25 Banelings, and Speedling reinforcements. And here we go, actually Polt once again out on the map, kind of being caught. And these Roaches and Lings will get a lot of free kills, and now all the Banelings are coming in. And the tank is just finished, but it's only one. This is so scary for Polt right here. He has to hold.
And he's put the tank siege on the high ground, which will create, you know, it can technically protect that mineral line for a short period of time, but it can't attack any of these units out here. And Revival, he's totally content with just sitting back, pushing this command center away, and maybe even just killing his army. He actually just runs a couple Roaches in. The Overseers to spot. He kills the siege tank, and now Revival knows there's not too much area of effect damage. Another tank behind the natural wall kills a lot of these Banelings. Polt's just saying, okay, I'm just going to run back as far as I can up the main base ramp. The Banelings decide to go for the SCV lines instead. Polt running them away, not getting those big connections he wants, but there's still a lot of Roaches on the ground here. 32 Lings in production. He's streaming reinforcements across the map, runs the workers out of that third base. Revival has done a lot of damage to Polt, but he has not done the critical strike that he needs to secure this game just yet.
Yeah, Revival so close to almost killing Polt there, but Polt did a great job pulling back onto the main base and spreading out all his units. And Revival did kill a lot of SCVs, 25, but with the 2-2 now being done, Revival having only 1-1 for his Lings, no Spire. He was on 6 gas the whole time, so he had a huge gas bank. He could have transitioned, but no, he's going to keep attacking. He's completely all in this game.
Yeah, he has a force set up on the right side, a few Roaches and Banelings, as well as, of course, that main force. There are a total of 33 Banelings on the map right now, and this Medivac moving out to the left is just going to barely miss all of this. He could do damage with the counterplay, but there are Overlords set up to spot this, even with a Changeling cute to block that command center from being landed. But Polt, this is a scary situation. You said that 2-2 is going to be done before any type of attack hits, and he actually finds that force on the right. Quite nice. Nothing to completely distract him, as this will also allow him to land that command center. But at the same time, it looks like Revival, considering going in, that siege tank scares him away.
There's 2 tanks there, so that's plenty to hold off that attack. And now Polt is looking in an absolutely amazing position. He's adding more and more tanks. He's got 3 factories, 1 more reactor being added, and Revival has no choice but to fall back. And now emergency upgrading begins, but it's so late because, yeah, Polt's already at 2-2. He can start his 3-3, and his drop coming in, try to do a bit of damage. Revival will defend that. Revival did manage to take his 4th base while all of this is going on, and his Spire is almost done. His creep spat, however, is only existing on the right side of the map, and Polt is on the left side of the map, so that's not really what you want. But here Polt goes with two more medevacs, trying to get some harassed on that third base. But there are Lings and Banelings there to hold him back for now.
We can see how Polt actually put those Marauders in front and pulled just the Marines back to try to let them tank up a few of those Baneling hits. But as you said, the 3-3 is on the way for Polt. He will maintain an upgrade advantage most likely for the rest of this game. Getting a hive will be incredibly difficult considering just how late the Spire came in for Revival. And the Spire doesn't necessarily give him an advantage, I feel. It just helps him clean up some of these drops that have been, well, flying all over this map.
Yeah, against 55 2-2 Marines, there's not that much that mutas are going to do directly. He will need them, absolutely needs them to deal with drops. It looks like Polt now getting ready to attack both sides at the same time. And the Revival with all those Banelings, that's... it would be interesting if he tried to clean up some Marauders with all those.
All those Banelings and no creep to chase on. As Polt moves into the right side, this fourth base at risk. There's just a few roaches to defend. If Polt could kill this hatchery and get out of there, that'd be great, but he still has a long path of creep to retreat across, going for the split. The Banelings run in. Polt loses a lot of his Marines. There's still a few left over. These Mutalisks might be able to push this back. The medevacs are running quite low on energy. At the same time, though, a little bit of a poke on the left side, and Polt's units just aren't dying.
No, and even though he wasn't creeped there, and Revival will be able to clean this up. Polt now has a PF on his fourth base. His production is through the roof. 12 Marines, 1 Marauder, 2 Hellbats, 2 Thors. That's insane production, and his upgrades are almost getting there for the 3-3. And I feel like Revival, he has no way to really keep up with Polt's economy and production right now.
Yeah, once that Mule Hammer hits the fourth base, it's that, as you said it best, that production line is just an incredibly large amount of expensive units rolling across, and Polt, this next attack will be very difficult to stop. He's brought the siege tanks with his army. Those Banelings find themselves being less and less useful, and suddenly those Mutalisks need to make some big plays. As Revival's actually breaking those rocks, but we can see such a huge force back home. Polt, his next attack is going to be twice as strong as this current push. And I mean, how does Revival even stop this? Polt maxed out compared to 150 supply. There are the tanks entering siege mode, and that fourth hatchery will die so fast. It's already at a tenth of its health. Revival decides he just wants to engage on it. The Banelings run in, and he'll crush this, but losing almost all of his Banelings, taking some Mutalisk hits, and the Medevacs will escape for, as I said, that next huge push.
Yeah, and once again, Revival does clean up Polt, who was standing on creep, but that next push, like you said, such a massive army, joined by 2 Thors, so the Mutalisks are going to be so hard to micro. And once you get the Thor Marine, it's just really hard to micro the Muta Bane the way you want to. And now the creep is slowly receding once again. Polt will push the issue and stim forward. There are quite a few Banelings there still, so Revival might have one more chance to clean this up. And here he goes. He charges in. The Hellbats are doing so much damage to those Zerglings, and the Banelings won't even get to the very back of the Marine line. And now it's Mutas against Marines, and that's not something you want.
So good keeping those Marines behind the Marauders during that engagement, just allowing them to soak up all of that damage, focusing the Banelings down, and now it's just Marines versus Mutalisks. GG, Polt ties the series up 1-1. And he didn't even bring those Thors. He actually sent them home.
Did he really?
For whatever reason, he felt that confident. He's like, I just don't want to be counterattacked. I know my push is going to do a lot of damage, and there's nothing you can do about it. So Revival, well, we've seen him be aggressive. And then it kind of was like a pseudo-aggressive build that he went for this game with the Roach Warren and the Baneling Nest before Evolution Chambers. Yeah. But Polt, well, he's showing us his macro prowess.
Yeah, I liked Revival's thoughts there because he was playing Heavy Rain, so he's probably thinking, well, this is probably the hardest map for me in the whole pool. So I'm going to try to do something very aggressive. And also, because of the way he played the first game with a few Roaches at the start, and then that mass Roach attack, you saw Polt wasn't really sure what he was playing against. He did get that money scan, so he didn't get 2-based. But even after that, he got a bunker at his third base in a weird position. And Revival just trying there with the Roach Bane all-in, which can work a lot of the time. But Polt really showing his micro in that critical moment.
Yeah.
Where like all the Banelings were running up the ramp.
So many Terrans
would
die.
He split every side. And yeah, a lot of Terrans would definitely die there. And Revival, if he gets a lot of SCVs there, he's still in a good spot. But he got only 25.
Yeah.
He needs to get like 35, 40 or something in that situation.
Against a Terran, just killing a lot of SCVs like that when you have 3 command centers isn't going to be enough. You need to pretty much just cripple them. But you know, you said it. He just dragged him all the way back up that ramp, and the siege tank positioning was really solid by Polt to spread out across his 2 bases. But now Daedalus Point for our third map. Revival has not had a lot of luck on this map. If you've looked at his big games he played here recently, that map versus Jachi, his map versus Neeb in the round of 16, and now against Polt, arguably the strongest right now of the three.
Yeah, and I wonder if we're gonna see Revival finally do something more normal to him.
Yeah, just how far into this series before he just tries to play the completely normal standard style. That's what we're gonna have to see, ladies and gentlemen, as we are here on Daedalus Point. Our first player spawning in the bottom right, the red Terran from Cooler Master Storm. It is Polt. If the man with the most WCS America championships is the King of America, he is right up there. And his opponent, the contester, the blue Zerg, also from Cooler Master Storm in the north left, it is Revival. He's even taking the jacket off. He is full serious mode now for this match.
He likes to play with his sleeves rolled up, actually. Makes him look pretty cool, actually. I like it. I might have to give it a try next time I play.
Get the intimidation bonus points going.
Exactly.
But this map, you know, it's funny that Revival's already done 2 builds that kind of looked like big roach attacks. One of them worked. One of them, you know, he kind of got spotted and had to transition out of. But on this map, do you go for that again? It's worked, you know, reasonably well in this for other players.
Yeah, it's really clever as well to do it at the start of the series. I think this is a map definitely has potential on, especially if the Terran takes the third base a little bit too fast and has to defend in that wide open area. But I kind of like, I watched a lot of Revival games before, and I saw him play Mutiling Bane in 95% of them. So, and he's really good at that too. So I'm kind of hoping we see him go back to that and see a bit of a more standard game. Because the first 2 games so far, Revival just kind of dominated the first one, then Polt had the second one on lockdown. So now I feel like it's time for a very even match to decide this third map.
It's funny to think that Revival, he almost needs to be pulling these builds out, but do you really think he has to just stick to these aggressive tactics to beat Polt, who's such a scary player in this macro game?
Yeah, maybe that's what he thinks, you know? He's like, well, this is my teammate, I never beat him, he's so good, like, see him win all these tournaments, so I'm gonna have to pull some special tactics from my hat.
It just makes me think of another Zerg that overcame what seemed to be overwhelming odds in the form of Hyun, who actually played some phenomenal macro games. And I think that might be, maybe this is where Revival has to take the series. He was able to get that first win, but if Polt's going to tie it up when you try to do additional, weird builds, then you kind of have to just shake it up by being normal.
Yeah, definitely. And, talking about Polt, he's probably definitely one of those players that in a best of 5, if he does the same build 5 times and you really study his games, which I'm sure Revival has done, there is also, of course, the possibility that he thought of some more funky stuff to abuse Polt a little bit. But the first Reaper will be entering the Zerg base just as the Zerglings spawn, so Revival looking in a good spot to not lose a drone in this game. Will lose a Zergling for now. Yeah, he will. That pool actually blocks any kind of movement behind the mineral line, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's smart. We're seeing actually a lot more, I guess it's not as easy with Zerg on some of these maps, but he had something similar set up on Heavy Rain, and we've seen Protoss players that too, just trying to stop these Reapers, because when you play for someone who is good at controlling these Reapers, now there's 2 of them here, it is so annoying and so difficult to catch them.
Yeah, the Terran players nowadays really map out the heal timings perfectly and know exactly when they can come in to get that last shot on the drone. But so far, no drones for Polt, so Revival's done a very good job. These Reapers are in a very annoying position though, right between the main and the natural, where there's quite a bit of space without creep.
Yeah.
And now getting some damage onto the Queen will escape before losing a Reaper. And I think good defense from Revival so far, showing that he definitely knows how to play against Reapers.
Yeah, you make a good point though. He actually tries to put down a fast creep to him, and even that gets sniped by Polt. And with now the 3 Reapers, that standard early game core, Polt's just gonna go home, get everything else set up, and I feel like add 2 more barracks. Oh wow!
It's a starport this time. So Polt actually is switching things up here. And we've already seen MMA do this, and it basically means that you get Hellion Banshee and the 3rd CC, very greedy play, but Revival is gonna pretty much see it right as it happens. So Revival should be able to prepare himself for this, and he's actually he's mining gas again in his main base, and he's taking his 3rd base. Oh, Zerglings into the natural! Wow, How many SCVs was that? That was more than Polt killed this game. 3.
Yeah, three SCV kills.
Very nice pickup.
Not bad. You know, one of the things Rival might have noticed is that when Polt does his normal build, he doesn't have a fast wall. Polt just doesn't seem to be a Terran player that quickly walls off that natural expansion as compared to others. I think Tasia was walled off almost every game by the 6-minute mark against Hyun. And on this map, Polt using more than one build in Terran versus Zerg. It feels weird to say that that's surprising, but it certainly feels so. And I think he might be thinking what we're thinking, that an aggressive build is not bad on this map. So get Banshees. It gives him a steady attacking force to fight against something like Roaches with if it was another aggressive play from Revival. But it seems that Revival, we don't have a Roach Warren yet.
Yeah.
It seems pretty standard from him.
He's not really doing anything too special. Also, the cloak on the way for Polt, very nice addition. But also on this map, the third base is so spread out that even if there are queens at the front, you can always run around all the way at the third base and do really good damage with Hellion Banshee. And there's a scan actually revealing the Baneling Nest and 2 Evos in the main base. So if Polt is a little bit worried about not seeing Evos, then he might actually think that he's under attack here. But for now, there are actually 3 queens, and Revival did such a good job spotting this build. He really needs to start adding some Spore Crawlers, though. This might get really scary for him.
Yeah, the Banshee could have doing a lot of damage. His lair should be done in time for when this cloak finishes, so the detection won't be too much of an issue for that long. But these Hellions in the front, as you said, if we can clean up some of these creep tumors as well, that'd be pretty nice. Just Zerglings alone not going to cut it, and without the cloak, there's way too many queens for him to just fight head-to-head against.
Yeah, and it's really nice as well. He's got a transfuse on every single queen there, almost guaranteeing him to never lose one of those queens if he pays attention. He's only made about 14 links, so he's really been pumping those drones and actually getting the fast Spire as well. And now Polt pushing a little bit more, doing a good job clearing up those creep tumors, but the Overseer is already there. If he's not careful, he could lose the Banshee, but no. Targeting the queen, has to transfuse, there to transfuse, and there's 2 more available, so far, Revival doing an excellent job dealing with this Hellion Banshee play.
Yeah, it feels like he might have even been trying to fake him out as he built something like 10 Hellions, quite a few more than he normally has, quite a bit more than the standard for a bio opening against Zerg.
Yeah, pretty big investment, really, and so far nothing done. Now, 2 Banshees will poke into the natural, but there's a Spore there. We'll get a couple of drone kills, but has to be really careful in this 1 Banshee. Will pull out just in time, and Polt, meanwhile, has landed his 3rd command center. Economically, he's kept up well with the worker count, but this Spire is considerably faster than it is normally.
Yeah, I mean, just forget normally, just the other games that Revival's been playing. He's been going for Mutalisk so late. This is, you know, you said it actually, he's pretty good with that Mutalisk Zergling Baneling style, and Polt has gone for, you know, that not a build that we've seen him grind out endlessly. He could be more prone to making mistakes with the build order like this. We've seen that the Banshees, the Hellions, haven't really done too much for him yet, so I can only imagine he's hoping to do damage when his stim finishes. If he can keep all these Hellions alive and just move out and clear away a lot of the creep, probably right as these Mutalisks are starting to get into a reasonable number.
Yeah, and right now a lot of Lings moving out on the map, but we'll get spotted by that Banshee right there. And the first mutas are starting to pop. The 2-2 is immediately started. Revival is a little bit supply blocked right now, but other than that, he's really not missing a beat the whole game. The creep spread is getting pretty good. It's only spreading in that one direction, but if you can get it all the way down there, you can actually defend your 4th base preemptively rather than fight at your 4th base, which is pretty nice. And now the mutas will clean up this Banshee. And Polt knows that he does not really have a window with his double medevacs like you might normally have in TVZ.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the Polt things that you'd want to do, the early pressure or that very, you know, fast mid-game attack, they've all kind of been shut down just by the way that these build orders have played out against each other. And Revival has to be feeling, I'd say, more comfortable than he's felt in any of the other games, aside from, you know, obviously the early Roach lead he obtained in the first map, but his upgrades are a little bit ahead as well. Those Mutalisks will shut down drops. He has Overlord spread pretty well in terms of the top right side of the map. And while Polt's going to get the rest of his upgrades together, just these Hellions, he's going to delay a little bit of the creep spread, but it's also going quite strong on the other side.
Yeah, I really like what the Rival's doing with his units. He's keeping them at the very edge of the creep, which a lot of Zerg players don't really do. And you just get your creep tumors denied, but Polt can't really do this because as soon as he does, he gets engaged on by mutas. And the creep is really getting out of control, and Revival's just playing a really, really beautiful game here with the Mutiling Bane. Like I said, he's really, really good with that style. And it's nice to see here, but Polt will, for the first time really since the Hellion Banshee, move out on the map with a really, really big attack.
Yeah, Revival's just going to run right past him. He's going to force him into a fight. We're going straight for this third base. The SCVs begin to evacuate. And he could force a fight against Polt here. The Hellions take quite a few of these Zerglings out, but the Marines, with off creep, they're going to try to split versus this. They don't have combat shields, though, and Revival annihilates a large part of this army, but a few of those Hellions are somehow still alive, and just a handful of Marines coming out of that natural area will be able to somehow push this back. Revival has a supply lead, but it seems that Polt has a very small window where he can clean up some of this creep.
Yeah, that was actually some really great splitting from Polt there, dealing with that very, very well. That looked really, really scary. And now on the counterattack, he instantly clears a ton of creep. These queens are going to die as well, so there's no remaking that creep for Revival. But still, his drone count is looking really healthy. His fourth base is done. He's got a ton of gas income. His 2-2 is done, and Polt is not for now. So Revival, if he can fight again, he will have an upgrade advantage. But it looks like for now, he's just content staying on his creep. And I think next time, he'll think twice before he steps off creep against Polt.
Yeah, Polt's macro is so strong. I feel like it was just a couple seconds ago saying he's behind in supply. He's got a small lead now, and he's looking pretty strong. He didn't lose too many SCVs in that engagement, so he's still sitting at a very healthy 67. And with this, the creep spread is still kind of going well on the bottom left, so he can help use that to defend a fourth base if Polt tries to push out. But Revival's being so active, it feels kind of scary for Polt to try to leave his base.
Yeah, it's really nice what Revival's doing with his army movement. Anytime Polt wants to move towards one of Revival's bases, Revival's right there threatening with the counterattack. But Polt, in the meantime, he has finished his factories, and now he has, I think, Thor production and also Blue Flame on the way. So once he gets up to that max army with a lot of Thors in there, a lot of Hellbats in there, it gets really scary for Mutiling Baneling to fight cost efficiently. And now actually Polt moving out on the map once again. At the same time, there's a drop medevac, but it's been spotted already. And Polt wisely backs away with the medevac, but he does do a good job of using this. The time that Revival has to send his mutas away to clean up a lot of creep, and Revival getting a lot of Banelings right now.
Yeah, this is a big defense he needs to make, as Polt has cleaned up a large number of these creep tumors outside of this fourth base area. Just a few more fresh tumors here. He's just going to retreat now. I think he's actually scared of that backstab happening once again from Revival. He's actually adding on probably one of the later Roach Horns that we've seen.
Yeah. That medevac at the top of the map will get caught actually in the natural. Very good job by Revival watching the mini map. And at the same time, Polt will move once again on creep. So he's really doing a good job sending medevacs to take the mutas away and then just abuse the immobility of the Zerg and move out. And now, actually, he's going to get flanked on creep right now, but he just barely steps off. And Revival, that was a hard decision to make. Do I go? Do I not go? I've got so many Banelings, but I think it was the right one to not engage there.
Yeah, there are 52 Banelings, and there's 17 more on the way. He's getting Roach speed, so this Roach Horn is not some sort of weird reflex. He actually wants Roaches to help maybe soak up damage as so his Banelings can get in closer. There's such a crazy number of them on the field, and with this Infestation Pit, it looks like he wants to get a Hive. He's getting a Burrow upgrade, and there is that Hive. So we might even see some Burrow Banelings come into play here. He, of course, wants to get the 3/3 upgrades, but maybe even move into Ultralisks later on.
Yeah, and once again, Revival swinging around the map, but Polt will see it coming, and this is actually, I think this is okay for Polt. He's securing his own fourth base.
Yeah, there's no creep here.
He continues to increase his army value, even though he's been maxed for a while. He's just replacing cheaper units with more expensive units, which gives him a much better chance to fight if it comes to a max out big engagement in the middle. But look at Revival. He's spreading his units all the way across. There's a lot of Banelings going to the top. Looks like they might want to snipe that PF, take it straight out of the sky.
The whatever you'd want to call it at this point. The Mutalisks are attacking the natural. Missile turrets picked off. SCVs dropping left and right. He's being forced to run away. He's got a medevac there to help heal some of those injured workers, but even gets one of the add-ons. We see that Baneling coming in. You said it, the Baneling snipe on the PF as those SCVs will all die with this planetary fortress. And that is Revival's way of saying no fourth base for you. Mutalisks are still running rampant in the main base of Polt. Picks off another missile turret. And with this, he's just bringing Polt all the way back. Polt realizes he needs to do something. He has a huge force moving out to the fourth base of Revival, who already has a fifth. And the mutas, he's going to lose quite a few of them. He bleeds out quite a bit, running away. But even this next command center he tries to fly out might get attacked. Polt scans ahead. There's so many Banelings. He's just trying to defend with mass Baneling. The Marines run behind everything. These Thors, as slow as they attack, are enough to clean up most of this defending force, and Polt has a very big chance to pick off this fourth and fifth base, but the Banelings run into the third base. Polt's Marines are rallied out. They're so weak. The Mutalisks pick up the building command center. They picked off the command center that was in the sky. Polt's economy is in shambles. He needs to win with this push. All the Marines are dead. It's just Thors. He can kill this hatchery, but the reinforcements are rolling in. So many Banelings with these Mutalisks. I don't think Polt can break the fourth base.
Yeah, this is so many Banelings so going on these Thors, but actually Revival has such a good economy that it might not matter. Looks like these Thors, will they finally get cleaned up by that many Banelings? I feel like about 800 Banelings have probably crashed into the Thors in the last minute, but now finally that army gets cleaned up and these medevacs, he will have to save them. That is so important for him. He does still have the 3 command centers, and he has the 3-3, so he's got a little bit of fuel left in his economy. And he can attack a little bit more.
He's still got 30 some odd Banelings on the map as well. So even if he tried to just go for another push with those Marines, you know, it's funny I was talking about the fourth base, he actually did not kill that fifth hatchery. It's still very low on health. There's no drones there, but those extractors are available if you wanted to continue to get gas mining and keep that Baneling count really high. I'm really interested to see if he makes use of that burrow upgrade that he researched earlier on with these Banelings as well. He's planted a few by the fourth. He's moving some out towards the center of the map, but Polt's army is abysmally small right now, it feels, and he needs to get that fourth base again.
Yeah, this is actually a great game to use burrow because there's so little creep, so it's not like Polt's going to really scan when he's off creep, so this could do potentially a ton of damage. Looks like Polt kind of disagrees with us, and he thinks that he can still re-expand to the fourth base and have a fighting chance in this game, which he actually might, because he's actually not that much down in supply. Once again, though, but the Muta's in the natural.
Yeah, he's pulling him apart. The Marines are going to stim and try to chase, but there's so many Banelings just waiting at that fourth base. If Polt's orbital command out half health, if he loses that, I mean, not only do you not have the mules, which you need for your shattered economy, but that also means less scans for those Banelings that are starting to be scattered around the map. Look at this. Ultralisks are on the way. Chitin is plating, the +3 attack, and Carapace. Everything seems to be going Revival's way this game. The only thing he doesn't have is a significant bank, so a couple of really good trades for Polt, I feel, could still maybe give him another shot at this game.
Yeah, and these, like you said, these Ultras are actually so scary because once Mutas and Ultras are combined together, even Thors don't really cut it anymore. He's gonna have to make Marauders, but he doesn't really have the money. He will send some SCVs to mine at the fourth. He does have quite a big army right now. He's actually maxed out once again, and remember that he actually only has 39 SCVs, so this is a ton of army supply.
Yeah, this is a juicy army as well. 75 Marines, only 6 Marauders, as you mentioned, will be quite important. There's a couple Banelings burrowed at this tower.
Yeah, and the Revival being really smart, actually. A lot of Zergs might think that Ultras are the end-all unit, but look at Revival, he's getting a greater Spire behind the Ultralisk Cavern, so if he were to be countering Ultras with mass Marauders, Revival's just going to say, hey, well, what are you going to do about Brute Lords? So he's really thinking ahead in this game, and once again, he seems to be posturing up to attack this fourth base of Polt, who does see it coming once again. He never doesn't have the Watchtower, actually, and moves his entire army, which is just a massive red blob on the mini-map north. We'll look to defend this.
I love these Mutas trying to bait him onto those Banelings. He detonates a few. A good number of those Marines just barely jump off at the last second. But, you know, I wonder, you know, Polt's paying attention now. He knows, hey, there might be some burrow Banelings waiting if he tries to cross the map. Now he's scanning ahead of him. But this also means Polt can't use quite as many mules. He's taken the fourth base again, but, you know, we would like to have as many mules as he can there. Revival taking this fight off creep feels a bit brave. The Banelings run right into all of these stores. There's a ton of Marines left behind, but the Ultralisks are looking to clean those up themselves, and these Marines do not do enough damage to kill these Ultras alone. He needs the rest of his bio. He's bringing the next chunk from above, and without creep, he's just going to stim and try to chase these, but there's burrow Banelings behind those Ultralisks. The Marines are running over them. Revival, detonate them. No, he doesn't detonate them. The Banelings don't go off. There's still a good number of Marauders with this force. He can't hold it with just these few Ultras. Scans ahead, kills a few more of those Banelings, and Polt, he's going to try to push into this fourth base. This is absolutely crazy. He's got 133 supply trying to attack a maxed out Zerg with Banelings and Ultras. He didn't get him on the way out, but he's going to try to get him on the way in. He does scan to kill those Banelings, but that just gives more time for these Mutalisks to chase.
And actually what Revival did is just make a ton of Mutalisks after showing the Ultras, so now there's a lot of Marauders, but he has a ton of Mutas, but still a lot of Marines here. And once again, Revival gets pushed back, and even though he's still in a fabulous position in this game, if this happens a few more times, Revival's, oh wow, what a great flank. The Marines were caught against a little terrain there and couldn't really escape from the Banelings. But like I was saying, Revival, he doesn't really have that much money left in his original bases. Polt did establish a PF on that 4th, and I feel like once again, actually on a 5th base as well.
It's just
which
scary.
I guess
There's no missile turrets, but he does have the building armor upgrade, which can be surprisingly useful in these situations. Yeah, high-sec auto-tracking as well lets those missile turrets shoot a few times earlier. The Mutas are going to run right over these Marines. He's actually going to lose a couple of them. He knows about the 5th base now, but, you know, Polt certainly having been seen will throw up a few missile turrets. His right side PF is under attack by these Ultralisks. The Marauders are actually trying to hold this off. The Banelings go onto the other side to kill the workers that are repairing. A few Widow Mines will burrow, but Polt loses his 4th base. This 5th is all he has, and he's moving into the bottom left, but there's Spine Crawlers, there's more Ultralisks. The Medivacs are out of energy. Polt, he's still using his micro to trade as well as he can, but as that Marauder count climbs higher, you said that those Mutalisks gain more utility, and I guess he's actually somehow killed most of the Mutalisks, but Polt, he's on the ropes here. He's being pushed into his 3rd base.
Yeah, and he's only got that 1 mining base, and 11 more mutas were being produced, and the supplies are now pretty much double, and Polt just doesn't have the economy to rebuild a massive army, and Revival still has plenty of money and plenty of ultras left, for that matter. So Polt, he's kind of running out of options here.
What a fantastic game we've had so far. The Mutalisks get into Polt's 5th base. The Marines and Marauders stim trying to chase and get this, but every time Polt has to stim, those Medivacs, they're so low on energy, and now he's like, well, I'll just see you on the other side running into the natural. Polt wants to attack this top base, but defensively placed Ultralisks. How often do you see that as your anti-drop mechanism? Polt's army being gobbled by these Ultralisks. A few Marauders with barely any hit points are kiting off creep, and man, they are so good versus these Ultras, but is there enough for him to continue to just be chased back farther and farther? He's lifted a command center to this 4th base area, but the Banelings kill that bottom left command center. The Mutalisks will kill the rest of these Marines, these Medivacs as well, and Polt is hanging on by just the smallest of threads in this top right base.
Yeah, Revival's done such a beautiful job. As soon as Polt actually took a 4th, he's just constantly been attacking with mutas on one side, Banelings on one side, then Ultras on one side, mutas on one side, and it's kind of funny to see that happen against Terran, because normally you see Zerg get dropped on every side of the map all day, but Revival just turns it right back around and doesn't leave Polt mine in peace at all. He's constantly on him. He doesn't let him have any bases, and I feel like this has to be Polt's pretty much last attack in this game.
Infestors have been mixed in. Revival says, kite, thou shalt no more. As if Polt steps too close, he will get fungled, and then those Banelings and Ultralisks can get on top of even the Marauders. And even if they are Polt's Marauders, this army is still very powerful. Those Mutalisks will make short work of these forces. There's the first bundle. The Ultralisks step up. He actually loses one pretty quickly. Loses one of the Infestors as well. These Ultralisks, now transfuses are not going to be enough. Polt is really giving Revival a run for his money, saying, I'm not done yet. This game's not over. The Ultras push further. Again and again, he's got some Widow Mines to back up to, but most of the Marines have been cleaned up. Will the Mutas be able to take it? More reinforcements come in for Polt. I don't know where he's getting the money for this, as he kills another Queen. The Infestors don't have enough energy. He's still putting pressure on this base, and he's below 100 supply.
Yeah, and actually Revival's putting all his money into Ultras, and once again he tries to fight this back. Right now the Marines are very low from all those stims, but the Ultras are slowly falling, and once again more Marines are backing up, and I almost feel like Revival should probably abandon his base, because if you lose all those Ultras to kiting for some reason, he's in a ton of trouble. He's got 6 Ultras backing this up, and those make extremely slow, so they're not going to be able to help that fast, but now the Lynx do arrive, and Revival is going to look to defend his base one more time, but look at this Ultra's health is so low.
And
another one joins the fray.
The Mutas hit the right side base, that command center lifted off Polt. That's all he's mining from right now, and the Ultras with the reinforcements trying to come in. There's the Fungal on the Marauders. Revival wants to end this, bring himself back to an even position in this series. There's no more creep for him to chase on, but there's not enough bio to keep kiting. Polt taps out. GG. Revival takes this 3rd game on Daedalus point. Man, what a game.
That was a really great game. Both of them played so well, and Revival, from start of the game, he recognized exactly what Polt was doing. He defended that so well with Queen Overseer. He showed beautiful Ling Bane movement, Muta movement. He really didn't make too many mistakes, and as we've seen many times before, Revival is just an absolutely awesome player at Muta Ling Bane.
What a fantastic game. I felt like, you know, Revival was in a good position once we got to that late game stage, but Polt just seemed to keep fighting and fighting. It was like he only had one hand, but he was still untouchable despite losing so much. And man, that is, I think, one of the first occurrences we've seen of Polt being behind and not coming back.
Yeah.
Revival has found a way to put him down for good.
He definitely got way more done than he really should have, especially after losing that fourth and then taking so much damage on his SCVs. But he showed that with a few Marauders and a few Marines, Polt can actually do a lot. And I feel like that game, the only way that game could have been any better was probably those 2 Banelings that could have got a ton of Marines. But still, probably one of the best games we've seen so far this weekend. And really, really impressed by Revival's play. The next map will be Polar Night, and now Polt has a bit of a problem because if he loses this game, he's out of the tournament.
Yeah, wow. Crazy that it's come down to this as we load into what could be the last map of a series where there's so many people. Polt has a lot of fans, especially in this WCS Americas team, that expect to see him not only win this match, but the entire tournament. Revival says, no, this is my game to win. And well, let's see as we enter this game, this match point almost. Our Terran player in the bottom position of Polar Knight in red from Cooler Master Storm, it is Polt. Even in losing, looking so good. But this guy, man, we saw some aggressive play from him in the first couple maps, but that game, he just turned it up to a whole other level. Our blue Zerg, also from Cooler Master Storm, it is Revival.
Absolutely great standard macro from him in the last game. Is so good that I would be a little disappointed if he were to do something crazy and end this game a little bit early with a Roach attack again or something like that. I just want to watch this guy play Muta all day because I feel like I'm learning a lot from him, and he's showing some great moves. And this is definitely a map where I think Muta Ling is pretty good. I think Roach attacks on this map are not as good as on other maps because there's so much high ground that the Terran can abuse with tanks and stuff like that. But Polt doesn't seem phased, and once again goes for the barracks and the gas. So a Reaper opening from him.
Yeah, and you make another good point on this map, especially. There's so much airspace around the main base if you want to go for that late game harass, which Revival made very good use of. Daedalus Point is a map where it's a lot easier to lock down those behind the natural, behind the main base area zones because there really isn't too much space, and that's something that can lose you lots of games, but Revival made it work there. Almost seems like you can make it work on any map.
This is also a great map with many paths to the third and the natural, so what you can do on this map, which is really cool, is like you have a group of Banelings that's going to attack the third. At the same time, you send 10 links into the natural, and then you send Mutas into the main. And if you pull that off, it's one of the most awesome feelings you can have as a Zerg, because you're like, wow, I'm attacking him everywhere. This is just like the pro gamers I watch all the time. And it's so good, but it's actually really effective on this map. And we'll have to see if Revival wants to show us some more of that. But for now, he will get his gas. Pretty normal timing from him. He'll be fine against the Reaper. He's shown some really good anti-Reaper micros so far this series. Has he lost a drone yet?
I don't think he's lost a single drone to Reaper. That's actually a really interesting point. There's it's one of the things I feel, one of the fastest ways to tell how confident a Terran player or a Zerg player are at the beginning of a series like this is to just see how much damage can be done with a Reaper. And it's funny because in Hyun's match versus Tasia yesterday, where he was able to come back and win it, he lost a few at the first, started off shaky, and then everything got, he was rock solid towards the end. And Revival has been rock solid this whole series. I almost feel like in the same situation that we kind of joked about with Hyun, he doesn't need to be aggressive, it seems, with how well he can play this macro game.
Yeah, he's a very complete player, and once again, this Reaper will look to get some damage done, but not too much being done. Actually, trying to pull away that Ling will lose one Ling so far, which I think is worse than in his other games, but nothing too crazy. And the second Reaper joins the fray. Actually, I've noticed how the 3 Reaper build against the 2 Reaper build. What do you think is what's better and what's worse?
The best part about the 3 Reaper build is that you can really contest queens. When you open up 2 Reaper, it was really good back when Zergs were much more liable to have drones get caught in the early phase, and actually almost losing that Reaper would have been a huge loss. But you get the 3rd Reaper, if the Zerg player doesn't make a few of these Lings that we've seen or get Zergling speed, and they stay low on the number of queens, then you can pick them off. Like, it's actually really easy to fight low numbers of queens once you have the 3 Reapers out. So I like that Polt's been doing this, and I think that's a reason why it's super popular.
And once again, he is sticking with his guns, adding those 2 barracks for the faster Marine medevac push, and he will try to get some harassed on, and this 1 Queen pulls back the Reaper all the way. Revival forgetting to correct that for a second and might pay the price with his Queen's life. Yes.
Wow.
Will his Reaper die? No.
3 Reapers get away with just enough hit points that one more attack would have killed him.
Yeah, and this is really, really good. This is like pretty much the best way the 3 Reaper can start because now the creep spread is limited. Zerg has to make another queen. He doesn't have 3 queens. He has 2 queens instead of 3. Defending his creep against the Hellions. So this is a really good start for Polt, and seems like he is set on bringing this series back to even.
Yeah, a couple of Zerglings are going to try to hit this natural. Very similar to the last game, actually. Except
not getting kills this time.
Not getting those 3 SCVs, and couldn't have said it better myself. That 3 Reaper, I guess the best answer to your question, he got that queen. And as a Zerg player, you certainly know that extra queen, that early creep spread, that potential for a transfuse is so nice, especially the creep spread I feel on this map.
And look at that, Revival actually going back to the Roach Warren. And let's see how much gas he is mining. 3 and 3 and 2 base saturation. So this could be an all-in, but he could get scanned at any moment and change his mind. But actually there's no Bailing Nest so far, so this might just be a defensive 7 Roach play. I would be surprised. 8.
What's
all right, Bailing Nest. All right, this is all in.
What is the magic number when you're looking at the number of roaches coming out? I feel like if you go above 6, you're really leaning towards the aggression.
Yeah, I think defensively 7 is really the max you will ever see. But then again, if you knowing that, you can just count the roaches and you know what's up.
Yeah, fair enough.
Maybe a Zerg should start alternating a little bit.
Playing the mind games of the number of roaches. Just build 8 and go double evo. But these Hellions and Reapers, he's content to let them poke this 3rd base. He only showed a few of his roaches over there. This Bailing Nest is very close to completion. Now the rest of the roaches here, he actually catches the Hellions this time. There's only 3 here with this force.
Great catch, and actually Polt just now starting another bunker. This is really late. This is so dangerous. Remember, if he loses his game, he's out of the tournament. He has to put his everything into defending this. He does have his reactors finished, so 4 Marines at once. But that bunker, it's only halfway. The Bailings are already being morphed, and this is going to be a really, really tough hold for Polt.
Can Polt's build, can this production be enough to keep him alive in WCS America? The Banelings are coming. The first bunker has been pushed down. The SCV's retreating, getting destroyed. That second bunker finishing, but there's no Marines nearby to go inside. 2 more bunkers in the back will not complete in time. The Reapers and the Hellions come to try to throw off the rallied reinforcements. All of the Banelings have been cleaned up, and now it's just Zerglings and Roaches. Polt, his Hellions and Reapers have been backed into a corner in his natural. The bunkers destroyed. His wall tumbling down. Morlings crossing the map. The natural expansion is going to have to lift, and Polt, he'll get his stim, he'll get these medevacs, but at a very large cost.
He'll stay alive, but Revival definitely got a lot done there. He took out all the Hellions, all the army. Those bunkers, they barely finished, but just not started in time. Polt is even supply blocked right now. He never got his upgrades going. So the upgrades, he doesn't have the upgrade lead like he did on Heavy Rain, for example. He doesn't really have any lead. He's behind on drones massively. Revival's got 3 queens and 3 hatcheries, and he doesn't really have anything to fear right now either, even though the 2 medevacs are coming. So Polt will be able to do something back, but what a huge way for Revival to take a really, really nice lead in this deciding game possible.
Yeah, you said it. Polt has an opportunity to do some damage. I feel like he has to do some damage. The only saving grace, I guess, is in a situation like this. As a Zerg player, you might want to kill more SCVs. He only killed 8 total this game, but with the upgrades being even, I guess a caveat of both of these build orders having that early production and lots of units, and it might be one of the reasons why Polt was able to hold on, or at the very least not completely die to that attack. I feel like as a Zerg player, you usually want to kill the Terran with a push like that. For Polt, he's going to do his best to just grind this out and turn it back into another just standard macro game.
Yeah, but Revival, even though he all-in, he's done such a good job behind it. The free spread is looking pretty good. He cleared the rocks at the 4th, and now Polt trying to get rid of some of that creep. Actually, I don't think he can actually afford to waste a scan at this point. He needs to get his economy back online ASAP.
You know, I really like what you said, though, about that 4th base, having that open especially. So Polt, as a Terran player, this has always been a classic question on this map. If the Zerg takes that back 4th base, normally you want to push the 4th. Really pushing at that 3rd is hard because of how early you usually see it taken. That establishing creep spread there isn't too difficult.
Yeah, and there's the 4th base. Everything is looking so good for Revival. He's getting that Spire, and considering the last game, him having a small lead into this Mutiling Bane plane is absolutely great for him. Polt will actually clean all that creep at the 3rd, so now he actually does have the possibility to start pushing there, which is really close to his own third base. So his rally points are going to be very close to Revival's third base, and he'll be able to constantly push. But does he have the production? He's still making a lot of SCVs. He's getting his armory for his 2-2. But how many reactors does he have? He only really has... He's just now getting up to 5 reactors for his barracks. Or no, 4 and a tech lab.
Yeah.
But that's a lot later than normal. This is already 13 minutes.
He wants to drop, and there's already a few Zerglings and Banelings on patrol. They're doing some interesting skating on that creep. And he'll be able to defend this drop without too much trouble. The Marauder eats a few of those Banelings. He's pushing the third base as well, but like I said, it's so hard to push a Zerg's third in this situation. That fourth base is tucked in nice and neat. It's so safe. This drop will move back here, but I mean, killing this would require a huge error from Revival.
And Revival's already moving units back, so he know where that medevac went. And Revival doing a big Ling Baneling attack onto the natural of Polt, and they run right into the SCV line. And there's the Banes. Oh my God, they get all the SCVs
right into them. Polt loses almost all the SCVs from his natural expansion. You know, I was gonna say I thought he recovered really well from the start of this game, but that is one of those things that Revival can do that can really just give him such a nice position. The army supply is still relatively close between these players, but Polt, that army supply is going to climb a lot more slowly now. He's pushing this third base. He's going to try to pick off these spine crawlers that are in production, but there's so many Zerglings with the Roaches and Banelings that he can't possibly hope to break this base.
No way for Revival, and there's a lot coming from Polt as well, but still, if he steps on creep against this army, he really can't do anything. And now Revival is 70 supply up. He's got his fourth base, everything's Polt has to get something done, but what can he do? So many Lings actually run right in, and the Banelings will move to the back. There's just not enough Marines at all to do anything against this.
Representative of the human race here at WCS America is on the ropes. Revival going for the counterattack, pulling back at the last moment, but he's up double his opponent's total supply, 160 to 80. 2-2 is on the way. Polt's upgrades will finish first, but he doesn't have enough units to play around with to make those upgrades worth anything.
Yeah, he's only got 40 SCVs left right now and only 84 supply. And Revival, he's happy to take a moment and sit back and relax because he's in a fantastic position. His creep spread is not really there, but that's pretty much the only thing. He's got a great economy, and here we see Revival getting ready possibly to do a game-ending move. Going in with the mutants, there's actually no turrets there, so once again, poor Polt's SCVs. They just have had such a hard time against Revival, and Revival's not quite done killing them yet. And there, the massive Ling Bane army ready to move into Polt's third base, and so there's really nothing there.
It's so cool to see that trap set up from his perspective as he's pulled all the units out of the third base. Polt's forced to lift up as that main army moves into his third, and now Polt's got almost nothing left, retreating back to the natural, down to 70 supply. Can these Marines somehow make a miracle happen? I don't think so, Rhett. The rest of the Banelings get connections, and Mutalisks hit from behind. Polt's being chased all the way back into his main base. His WCS America life on the line. GG, Revival is going to advance to the semifinals.
Amazing. Revival once again with an incredible upset, and you know, even though you would call it an upset after watching him play in that series, that was amazing. He played, that's like what you would expect from someone like Sulky, like the Daedalus point game, and then this game, everything was so on point. He looked so good, and I think it's safe to say that Revival's been really busy practicing his brains out ever since he joined CM Storm, because that's the best I have ever seen him play.
That was absolutely fantastic. Both players put up one hell of a fight, but Revival really seemed to have his studying quite well set up when facing this build from Polt that he used in all but one of the games, and really just great decision making. We can see here again the last moments as Polt is eliminated. Revival with the fist pump.
Yeah, Revival is showing a bit of a reserved happiness, of course, eliminating his teammate. That's never a good feeling. But he played so well. I got to give him all the credit for advancing to the semifinal. And Revival in 2013, he took down a Premier title, and it looks like he's not quite done. He wants to continue his great results in 2014, and what a great first step he took with that victory over Polt.
Yeah, taking out Polt, talking about being the #1 Terran versus Zerg player. Well, Revival, he's not afraid to upset. And 3 Terran players. 3 players that I think a lot of people thought could actually win the whole thing have been eliminated from WCS America. But, you know, now it's time to hear from the winner, Revival, guys. We're going to give it over to Paul and see what he has to say about defeating Polt.
Revival, congratulations. Always very difficult when you play a teammate. What are your first feelings right now? Are you happy? Are you sad? Is it a mixture of both?
무슨 생각을 하고 있는지 팀원을 좀 얘기하는
네, 개인적으로 팀킬은 바라지 않았는데 이렇게 만나게 돼서 별로 좋지는 않았지만 그래도 이기게 돼서 성훈이 형 목까지 꼭 우승을 꼭 해야 될 것 같아요.
He really didn't want to do a team kill, obviously, and he's upset that he had to meet, Polt. But since he won, he feels happy, and he feels because he's beat Polt now, he has to go all the way to the end.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. Is that you've beaten the favorite of the whole tournament, the man that won the last 2 WCS America. Does that now make you the favorite, and does that add more pressure for you?
이제 전에 우승자를 다 이겼으니
네.
더 부담스럽지 않냐고. 우승자를 해야 돼.
개인적으로 테란전이 제일 힘들다고 생각하고 있었는데 토스전이랑 저그전은 자신이 있어서 충분히 가능성이 있다고 생각해요.
Okay, so personally, Terran is the hardest for him, and since he was able to overcome that, he goes, you know what, Zerg and Protoss, easy peasy.
Zerg and Protoss, easy peasy. I like it. Last year, you had a great WCS America in season 1, but you didn't have a very good season 2 or 3. What have you done since last year to now to improve and reach the semi-final?
작년에 시즌 1 때는 되게 잘했지만 시즌 2랑 3는 잘 못했었잖아.
네.
그동안에 그러면 뭘 하면서 연습을 해서 지금 여기까지 왔는지.
지금은 이지에 나오고서부터는 집에서 혼자서 게임을 하고 있는데 더 지금이 최고 자신이 있는 것 같아요. 지금 굉장히 실력도 자신 있고 혼자지만 그래도 그 전 TSL 동료들이 있기 때문에 더 자신 있는 것 같아요.
Okay, after he left the EG house, he's been practicing alone at home, and he just feels that he's at the top of his game right now, and he feels that the TSM members have really been helping him out a lot, and so he's just feeling very confident.
Well done, Revival. Congratulations. Another man through to the semi-finals. That's 3. Who's going to be the 4th? It's going to be Oz versus Arthur next, but first let's check in with Rotterdam.
Thank you very much, Paul. And wow, what a series, guys. Yeah. Everyone is still having fun over here in the ESL studio. WCS America, I don't think it's ever been as wild as this time. I think we had 5 really big favorites in the start of the season, and right now they're all out. The 4 remaining players, regardless of who wins, this is going to be the biggest victory in their career. This was a really hard series to pick out one moment, but if there's something that we have praised Polt for multiple times in the past, it's that he is so hard, to truly kill him. You can get in a good position, and often it's like, Polt is kind of on the ropes, but Polt always came back. And I think that Revival made a couple of key decisions between the Ultralisk and the Middleisk movement on Daedalus that he did get in the positions like, all right, Polt, now you're finally down and out. And I think Funka is going to help me by showing this a little bit. There is this key moment, which is, roughly 6-7 minutes before the game. He is pulling him out of position, and with a few Ultralisk, and even though Polt is ready for this, but he's not ready for both. He can't deal with both Ultras and Banelings. If those Banelings weren't there, then this could go very bad for Revival. There is a chance that he loses a lot of those Ultras, and then it's one of those traditional Polt games again. Polt's on the ropes, but Polt doesn't die. However, this time with those Banelings, he does die, also because he forces so many units out of position. And even though the supplies were super deceiving, like it looked like this was a default win for Revival for a long time, if you look at the army supply, if that base on that right side keeps up and running for a little bit longer, it could again be one of those Polt games where he just doesn't die and somehow come back. Overall, I think Revival played an excellent series, and if Funka would just go 10 minutes forward in this replay, I don't know if he can immediately do that. Even in the final moments of this game, the exact same thing happens again. It's almost like, Paul, do you again? Are you really like, how are you containing someone with 90 supply against 170? This really makes no sense. It's like, Polt, get out of the game. Wait, Polt, you have more supply? this is ridiculous. This is not supposed to happen. And also, once again, imagine if he didn't lose that base before. This could have all snowballed out of control. But, you know, in the final seconds of this game, no matter under how much pressure Revivo is, he sends those Mutalisks away again. And this, you know, as Todd would say, balls of steel to send a part of your army away in this phase in the game to finish off that orbital. And then at the right moment, when the reinforcements arrived, he did kill off that army. I thought it was really one hell of a series. I enjoyed it, and I think it's the type of series that every StarCraft fan enjoyed. So, Paul, I'm very curious to say what the people in the social media world have to say about this.